Alright, welcome back to part 2, where we were doing the face. So, we're going to need to get safety eyes. So, I use these 14mm safety eyes. And they have these backs that come with them, that go down over this ribbed. It looks like it's got a screw end on it, and this just snaps down over it, so they won't be able to come out. So let's start with where we're putting these. Make sure it's the front of your thing with your feet showing forward. This should always be at the back when you're doing any kind of doll. So from the neck area, I put my eyes between the 9th and the 10th row. So count from the neck area, just the bottom part. Line it up with the leg and put your first eye in. Line it up with your leg and put your second eye in. Now they do have to be fairly far apart. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have about 6 stitches between mine, which seems to be about right. I'm not going to put the backs on though. I want to build the nose, so I want to put the mouth and the nose on to make sure my eyes are in the right spot. So don't put your backs on yet. And I'm still attached to that, so I need to get some different yarn. So for the nose, I'm still using my 5. I made a magic ring. Oops, mine just got away from me there. So I put 8 single crochets inside this ring for the nose. So that's 8. For the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. So I'm just going to count to 16. Again, it's amigurumi, so we're no slip stitching or chaining. You're just going right into your stitch. So I'm just going to count to 16, because that would be my 2 rows of 8. So I know I'm back around because of my straggler guy here. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to pull my middle closed, nice and tight. Actually, before we flip this, pull your middle closed nice and tight. We don't want our nose to keep opening up. So we're going to make a wee small knot. Well, it's actually not going to be a small knot. Make a knot, but don't make it tight, because if you make it tight, it's just going to sneak its way through. But make a knot nonetheless. And then you're going to cut this off, but you're going to leave a nubby. We're going to put some stuffing in this a little bit, just because the first doll I made, I did not put stuffing in it, and I feel like I'm constantly fixing the nose. So it does not take much. I actually probably grabbed too much there. It just takes a wee tiny bit of stuffing. But anyway, before we do that, let's fasten off, because that's your nose. That's it. It's just a little button nose. So fasten off with a sewing tail, because you're going to have to sew it to his face. And we're sewing the nose open, so you're not going to be shutting it. So you're going to go into the next stitch. And you're going to pull this through. And then you're going to pull up. So it just evens it out. So I'll shove a little bit of stuffing in there. So we're going to pin all this to his face first before we make the decision that that's where we're putting it. So I'm just going to use this to kind of pat this down. So that's your nose. We need to make good decisions here. So if you need to look at a picture, well, it's fine. Knock your socks off. But keep in mind, he's going to have these, which we're going to do next, just so we make sure the nose is in the right. Actually, we'll do the mouth next, because I need to make sure I don't need to move everything up first. Keep in mind, it's going to be stuffed, so it is going to stretch out a little bit too. So let's do the mouth. So the top lip, you're going to make a slip knot. I want to make a ring. You're going to make a slip knot and you're going to chain 8. And you're going to fasten off. That's his top lip. And then his bottom lip is chain 4. So this is chain 8. That's 8. And then one more for your fasten off. Give that a little snug pull. Pin that to his face. These are wig pins that I'm using. They're really good if you're looking for pins to use. Again, so hard to tell when you don't have stuffing in here, but the stuffing is really going to get in our way for the sewing part. So, again, make a slip knot. And you're going to chain 4. And fasten off. And that's his bottom lip. So I think I might have to. Come up a bit. Everything's looking a little low. Could be a lot of fiddling around. Oh, that looks better. So I think I'm okay with my eyes being where they are. So I'm going to put the backs on my eyes. So this means my nose moves up to probably about there. Now keep in mind, we have to make these things for around the eyes, so we're not going to do anything with the nose as of yet. And then I'm going to move the mouth up a bit. One more up here. So I know this is difficult, but you want to get this right the first time. So that looks reasonable to me. Let's take the mouth off for now. We'll sew this nose on. We'll sew the nose in place. Now this guy's head's open, so you can sew the nose on any way you want. You just need to be very careful to not move it around a whole lot. Actually, I think I might actually come down just a titch with his nose. And then you can just, like I said, sew on any way you want. But you are going to sew him open. So like I said, it's very hard because you don't have any stuffing in this. So it is quite difficult. You just got to be very, 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 very careful. And I don't sew well. You just need to stuff your head after you've done this. You just need to stuff your head accordingly. So overstuffing it is not going to be a good idea. So I'm going to go down into this next stitch, and I'm just going to pop into the inside of his head. I can straighten my nose out. So there is a little bit of stuffing in there. So just keep pushing your stuff out like that. You can tie a knot if you wanted to and cut this off so it doesn't get all tangled into all your other stuff, and that will secure the nose. Again, don't make it a tight knot, it'll just slip through the stitches. You can make it a double if you want, because it's inside the head. No one's going to see this. So I just left a nubby. So there's the nose. Let's do around the eyes. We'll make our chains for around the eyes, because that's what we're waiting on. So we need to make 4 of these, and you're gonna chain 7 and then fasten off. That's 4 of them, so that's top and bottom of each eye. Got my 4. I want to do all kinds of pinning. I'm going to try to show you one. It's very difficult to sew on camera, and I don't want to screw these dolls up. So when you sew it on, you're going to angle them, and you're going to try to keep them around the eye of the doll. So they're going to be angled like an eyebrow. And then the other one, they're all the same size. So then the other one meet at each corner. So then this one meets up here on that corner. And then this one meets up here on that corner. So that's how you're going to sew it on. And then I basically just pulled one of these stragglers through. I used the longer tail to sew around, and you probably only need one of them, but I actually used 2 of them. So this bottom tail I sewed the top on, and then this top tail I sewed the bottom on. I pulled everything through and I tied it inside. So that's how I want you to do it. That's my suggestion anyway. I cannot do this on camera because I will screw this up. I do not sew well. So do both your eyes, and I will see you back here. So I've got my second one done. I just want to show you how I tie it at the back. So I've rolled it over. Now I'm going to pull snugly, but I'm trying not to pull too tight because I don't want this to be out of shape. But I want it to be secure. I'm going to make a double knot, and the second knot I'm going to pull tight. So you can cut these off just to keep the stragglers under control, but and then my other one, just make sure you're not distorting. So there's my eyes. They may not be entirely even, but it's very difficult to do. So now we'll do the mouth. Again, I will do it off camera because it's too difficult to do it on camera. So the way we do it, we're going to be able to stuff this after and see what we've done. I know it's very difficult. So you can put a little bit of a smile on his face. So turn up your sides before you pin them. I'm not going to guarantee they're going to stay turned up when you sew it on, but because mine did not. Mine almost looks like he's frowning. So this mouth, this here, I left mine open a bit, so I took my corners right up to the bottom of the mouth here when I sewed it. I mean, you're obviously gonna have to move it around when you sew it. So when I sewed, I had to pull down a bit. So that's what his mouth should look like. And you don't have to be this close to the nose. Actually, I'm going to move mine down because keep in mind, we're stuffing. All of this gets stuffed. So, get yours sewn on and I'll meet you back here and we'll get it all stuffed. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to tack one side, each side down, and then use your stragglers to sew with, your long stragglers. So these two I'll just tuck inside the head to hold it in place. So, I'm not really too happy with my mouth, but the mouth is very difficult. But everything else to me looks fine. We can start closing up this head a little bit. So we just need to go back up to where we stopped our head. So our next row is going to be, we have 24 stitches around. Our next row is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. So we'll do the eyebrows once we have room for them. So we need to build a couple of rows first. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease, which would take you down to 16 stitches. Sorry, I'm desperately trying to keep this on camera, but it's very difficult when dolls get to be this big. This is where I'm at, so if I was to do it on camera, I'd be really, really close. My camera's like completely raised as high as my camera can be raised. So that's 1 single crochet and then your decrease all the way around, giving you 16 stitches when you're done. So we can fit our eyebrows in now, so let's do that. Because they're nice and quick as well. They're you're just gonna chain 9. So again, I'm going to put more stuffing in this before I do this, just a little bit, but I don't want the stuffing to get in my way of, because I'm just going to tie it on as well, but I just want to put the stuffing up here where I'm putting my eyebrows, just so I have an idea. So again, use pins, make sure that it's where you want it to be, what you want it to be doing. So eyebrows will certainly change the look of him, whether he's angry or happy. So you really got to be careful when you're putting them on to put it on so he's happy. The hardest part is trying to match. So once you decide how you want your eyebrows, you can do the same thing. Take your stragglers, stick them through, and then using your longer pieces, sewing them on, and then tying them at the back. If you can tie them at the back, it got all that stuffing in there, but it can be done. I did them for my other dolls, so. And I'll meet you right back here after. So, I've done my eyebrows. I put some more stuffing in the head. Now keep in mind, when you're stuffing this, his head needs to come out more here, like he's almost oval round. So our next 2 rounds is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. You should have 16 stitches. And then we're going to do 1 more decrease, and then we're going to close up the head. So that's the plan, Stan. And I'm not sure if I'm on camera or not because I can't see my thing, but hopefully. Oh, I don't think you need me, really. 2 rows, 1 single crochet in each of those 16 stitches. I'll put my screen up and I'll see you on the other side. So that's my 2 rows. We have 1 more row left, and that's 1 single crochet and a decrease. This brings you down to 10 stitches. The only reason I'm not deciding to close it up now is because it would look funny. Like, I'm just trying to make this look as neat as possible. So we're done. We're going to go into the next stitch, and you're going to fasten off. You only need enough to sew the top shut and then weave, so you don't need a whole lot. Before we sew the top shut, I'm going to put some more filling in there. So keep in mind, he has a very funny shaped head. For all of mine, I put this little bobble on the top of his head. So now that I'm satisfied with how full that is, so you're going to go under just 1 piece of yarn. You're going to go in, and then you're going to go out. So I'm back around to where I started. So I'm just going to pull that closed. I probably could have stood a little bit more on top. So I'm going to come across to the other side. And I'm just going to make a knot. So I'm going to go through this loop. So when I pull, I'm going to pull back and forth, and that tightens that knot right up. So now you can weave. Go in as close as you can to your tail. And pop out wherever you pop out. And pull down on the top. So I try to make the top look as nice as possible. Because the ears get sewn on over here. So you will see the top of this head. So go in again somewhere else as close as you can to your lead. So when you pull, that just looks like a stitch right there. And if you pull too tight, just pop it out. So try to go in 3 different directions. I'm going to go back down here. And you can cut that off. There we go. So, next we'll do the hands. We're going to save the coat for last because it's such a big project. I want to make sure I don't have to go into a 3rd video. But I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible without cutting out too much. So yeah, let's do the fingers. We have to make all the fingers first, and then the hands and the arms, so we'll do that next. Alright, so we're gonna change our hook to a 4mm to do the fingers. I'm just going to use this a little bit. Hopefully I have enough. So we need to make 3 fingers. We're going to make 2 fingers and fasten off. The third finger we make, we're not fastening off from. So you need to start with a magic ring. Oops. And put 6 single crochets inside this ring. Your next round is going to be 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So you don't really need to use a stitch marker, just count. So you just need a little tail to sew, just a little one. So this straggler, he can get jammed back down inside here. And then you are going to put stuffing in this. As difficult as it is, the first one I did not put stuffing in the fingers. And it's just something that you're constantly fixing if you're, you're moving the doll, or if you're, whatever. It's just much better if you just put a little bit. So I just use the end of my hook. I push down and I turn my hook, and it packs it in there nicely. There we go. 1 finger done. Finger number 2. I'm probably going to speed up through it because I don't think you need me. I'm going to put the thing on the screen even though I don't think you need it. Finger 2 gets fastened off. Finger 3 does not get fastened off. I'll put that on my page as well so that you remember not to fasten off number 3. And I'll meet you right back here. So I've done this one, but I'm not going to fasten off. But I am going to still jam this down and stuff it. So we're not using this hook anymore. We're going to switch hooks. Back to the 5mm. I just needed the 4 because when I made the fingers with the 5mm, they just seemed really too big. So I just went down a hook size to make the fingers. But now we're going to join them all with our 5. So this is easy peasy. Please don't let this intimidate you. I make hands and gloves and mittens with the thumb and everything else. I make this way because to me, it's easier. I know there's a gajillion different ways. Well, there's 2 at least on YouTube, and I cannot do it like this. So this is the easiest way that I do hands and gloves and stuff, so bear with me. You might find it easier, you might find it not easier, but if you already know how to make a 3-fingered hand, then knock your socks off. You don't need to follow this. So I did not fasten off my third one. You're going to go into the next stitch, you're going to make 1 single crochet, and you're going to put a marker there. Then you're going to join a hand. So right next to where you fastened off, there's a stitch. Go into that stitch. So that flips over, and make your stitch. So that counts as 1 single crochet. That's that join. And then you're going to put 2 more, so that's 3 single crochets. Then you're going to join the other one. So right next to where you fastened off, you're going to go into that stitch. You're going to make a stitch. So now flip everything over. It's just way easier to see. Make your stitch, single crochet, and then you can single crochet around till you get to where there's no more stitches. We'll sew this after. So single crochet around. We're not putting any spaces in between our fingers. So now you're at this where you fastened off part, and it's going to be tight, but I need you to put a stitch in there. And then you're going to come across, so that's where you stop, and you're going to come across and find this only stitch that's open on this side, and you're going to put a stitch. Then you've got your fasten off part again for this finger. So now you're going to come across to this next open stitch. So all the stitches in between is what we're going to use our stragglers to sew up later. We're not going to have to do that now. And then just single crochet now back to your marker. And now all of our fingers are joined. So now I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. You should have 18 stitches if you've done everything right. If you haven't, it's not a huge, super big deal. So don't fret about your numbers. It'll still look like a hand. So 1 in each stitch. So that's my 18. So now we're gonna so now we're going to sew before we go any further, because we're going to start decreasing. These holes that you've got right there, we need to sew them together. They're so easy peasy. They'll be done in no time. So just hold your hand the way you need it held. So from here I'm going to go straight across. Now really I'm only picking up 1 piece of yarn because that's all I need. I don't need to get carried away here. So 1 piece of yarn, so I'm just whip stitching the center. So again, just 1 piece of yarn. We don't want it to look absolutely horrible, so pull as tight as you can. So I'm going to go in one more time because that's all I needed to to do that hole. But I want to go in because I want to make a knot. And I want to pull back and forth as tight as I can with that knot. And then I'm just going to go up here into the finger. So that's going to be basically my weaving. and pull down on everything. Nice and tight. And just snip her off. We do the same for the other side. Now we can get back to work. I might have put too much stuffing in this finger. Just push everything down a bit. Okay. So our next round is going to be 4 single crochet decrease. There we go, 4 single crochet decrease. So for the next 15 rows, you should have 15 stitches. For the next 15 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 15 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So I've got my 15 rows done. I've stuffed it. So your final row for this guy is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. That's the 1 single crochet with the marker, always, 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 and your decrease. There we go. So now you can fasten off. So you're going to need a sewing tail. I'm just going to pull up what I have left. That's all I have left of that little bunch I had. So you need a sewing tail that's decent because you want to be able to weave. And we want to sew the top shut. Might put a little more stuffing in there. So go into your next stitch and then pull this through. And then pull up, make it look all nice and pretty. So I'm going to shove a little more. So you want to stuff these, both your arms, so that they're the same. I've already done my other arm. I think that's pretty close to being the same. So you're just going to whip stitch this top shut. Now if you prefer to sew this on open, that's fine. You can do that. You don't need to do this. I think it's easier to do hidden stitch. I mean, it's not really. Actually, I've done both and it's just about the same. So that is all you need. So go ahead, make your second arm. And I'll meet you right back here and we'll get going on the ears. So the ears are done with a 4mm G hook. I'm going to be putting some screens up between each increase row, I'm doing a 1 single crochet in each stitch row. So I'll be putting my screens up for you to do 2 things on the screen. We'll just make it a lot faster to do it that way. So you're going to put 4 single crochets in here. We want a point on the tip of our ear, so we're going to start small. You're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch, bringing you up to 8 stitches. Oh, my hook is squeaking. Oops. Put 2 in that stitch. So if you're going to use a marker, which I doubt, it goes in after the first stitch, not the second one. But I'm just going to count to 8. 2 in each stitch. 2, 4, 6, 8. And, man, the first row is always tight for me. And I'm back to my straggler. So, pull your middle as tight as you can, turning this guy right side in. This is going to drive me nuts, so I'm just going to cut it off a little bit. So your first round is going to be your first 2 rounds. So we're going to start with my screens right away. Your first 2 rounds for this first one is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. And that's going to bring you up to 12 stitches. And then your next row will be 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. So that's 1 single crochet. And I think at this point in the video I don't really need to show you, but your increase is 2 single crochets in each, or in the same space. So 1 single crochet increase, and then 1 single crochet in each of the 12 stitches. So I'll put my screen up. So your next couple of rounds are going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 16 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in each of those 16 stitches. So that's number 1. That's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next 2 rounds are going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 20 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in each of those 20 stitches. That's number 1. Number 2, the hard way. 3 single crochets, and then your increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. So in case you're wondering why I went down to a 4mm, is because we're not stuffing the ear, but I need the ear to be stiff so it stays up on its own. So that's why I dropped down in hook size, in case you're wondering. So your next couple of rows are going to be 4 single crochet and an increase, bringing you to 24 stitches, and then 1 single crochet in each of those 24. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So this is our last increase. You're going to do 5 single crochets in an increase, which brings you up to 28 stitches. So now to change it up, after you're done those 20, or this last increase, you're going to do 7 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's number 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets, and then your increase. And repeat. Alright, so I am done my 7 rows. This is what it should look like. So now we're going to start decreasing. So we ended with a 5 single crochet increase, so we are going to start with a 5 single crochet decrease. That's number 1. Five single crochets, and then your decrease over these 2 stitches. And repeat. Your next round is 4 single crochets and a decrease, so it's going to take you down to 20 stitches. And then I want you to do 3 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 20 stitches. That's number 1. Four single crochets, and then your decrease, and repeat. So that's my 3 rows, so it should look like it's, well, a spade, almost. So our last row is just 3 single crochets and a decrease, bringing you down to 16 stitches. Now you're not going to whip stitch, well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, it's your ear, but I did not whip stitch mine together. I sewed it onto the head open, so. That's 3 single crochets, counting this as number 1, and then your decrease. So we can fasten off. We're not stuffing this. We need a sewing tail. I'm sewing mine open, so mine needs to be decently long. If you choose to close yours, then I mean that's completely up to you. Either way, you're going to go into the next stitch and pull this through. And pull up. So go ahead and make your second ear, and then I'll meet you back here, and we'll sew this on, and then we'll get to the coat. The coat's going to be some time consuming, so I'll see you on the other side. Alright, so I'm done my other ear. I am going to try to do some sewing with you, but for the most part, I need to be off camera. It's just the way I hold the doll. It's a struggle to try to sew things on properly when I've got a camera between my legs. It's very difficult to do. It's not that I don't want to show you how I do it, but let's face it, I don't sew very well. So his arm can go right up to his neck, just like that. I'm going to do invisible stitches, which means I'm going to go down as close as I can to his arm. I'm going to go down into the doll, and I'm going to come up into the arm. So when I pull up, that sucks that stitch right down underneath. so you're not going to be able to see it. And I do that for every single stitch across. I pull up, it sucks it under. So I use a needle with a hooked edge on it because it makes my life a lot easier. So go ahead and get your arms sewed on, and I'll meet you back for the ears. So I've got my arms on, and I sewed them twice. I actually went back and forth only because these dolls are going to children and I don't want the arms to fall off, so that's why I did that. Now the ear I sewed on open, and it does kind of jet out at the side of his head, not so much the top of his head, in case you're wondering where the placement is. So like I said, I sewed this on open because I feel that, and I did invisible stitches, I feel that it just gives a better hold, so it's not so raggedy. Alrighty, I got my ears on, I got my arms on. I sew way much better off camera where I can hold it the way I want. So I actually got my ears even. Let's get on with the robe. Alright, let's get this robe started. I just used a chocolate brown. Actually, I'm not sure the name of the color, really, honestly. And then just a beige for the top part of the robe. So this is a big project, so that's why I thought I would leave it to the end. I'm using a 5mm, and I want you to make a slip knot with your coat color, and I want you to chain. Now this is going to seem like it's an oversized coat. It's going to be too big for him, and it is. It's an oversized coat. So if you find that it's just too big, then just don't chain what I'm going to chain. But I'm going to chain 61. So this is my 61. We're doing this in half double crochets. So starting in the second chain, so count your bumps, 1, 2. Starting in the second chain, you're going to put and down. You're going to put 10 half double crochets. That's my 10 half doubles. You're going to chain 10. You're going to skip 8. And in the 9th one, you're going to start counting your half doubles again. So put a half double in there. Oops. Half double in there. So that counts as 1. You're going to do 23. So that's number 1 that we just did. So do 23. I'll do 22 now. Half doubles. That's my 23, and I'm going to chain 10. That's 10. I'm going to skip 8. And then in my 9th stitch, be a little awkward, you're going to put a half double crochet. And then you're going to half double crochet back to the beginning, which should be 10. There we go. So now we just made our armholes for our coat. Chain 2 and turn. So we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each stitch, and that includes this. So that's 9 up to my 10th stitch, which is there. It's very hard to see. You got to turn everything over. So that's not easy to get into. None of these are easy to get into. But do your best to get into them. Sorry, my battery died. My battery died again. These long projects really do a number on my battery. So I'm just getting into the armhole stitches, the awkward part. For the next 20 rows, you're going to put one half double crochet in each of those 62 stitches. And then I'm going to meet you back here. So I'll put my screen up, since I don't think you need to watch me do 1 single crochet in each stitch, or half double, single. I'm so used to doing single crochets. So anyway, I'll put my screen up for your 20 rows, 62 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. Don't forget, you gotta chain 2 and turn in every single row. And don't be shy about this turning over stitch. You gotta make sure you're getting into the first stitch and the last stitch to keep your sides even. So I have finished my 20 rows. I've hidden my straggler down here. I'm keeping my straggler up here. I've built one arm so you can see how it's going to look, what we're going to do. So that's my one arm. I'm keeping my straggler here for now. I'm just going to leave it. I'll get on with making the arm for you guys. So you're going to need to make a slip knot. Figure out where you're starting on your arm. I'm just going to start at this corner. I generally just start at a corner. Put your slip knot on, tighten her up. Now, so we're going to attach with a single crochet. But I want you to put a half double in that same space. And we're going to put a half double all the way around. So you should have 21 half double crochets when you're done. And that includes these stitches. Not in the hole, right into the stitch. So your next round, so we're working amigurumi here. So your next round, I'm just going to put a stitch marker in there, is going to be 3 half double crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1 with the marker. That's 3 half double crochets, and then a decrease in this stitch is going to be you yarn over, you're going to go into your first stitch, you're going to pull through 2 and stop, you're going to yarn over and go into your second stitch, you're going to pull through 2, and then you're going to pull through 3. And that's how you do a decrease in this stitch. And repeat, 3 half doubles and a decrease. Nice straggler out of the way. It's awkward to start, but so I'm decreasing because I don't need 21 stitches, so this should bring you down to 18. Sorry, my camera shut off again. So I just finished it. I just had to go with the marker. I was like right there anyway. So your next 3 rounds, or your next 5 rounds is going to be 1 half double crochet in each of these 18 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. Okie dokie. So I am done my 5 rows. I'm going to fasten off to do my color change, just because I think it's cleaner. But you can do whatever you want. We're doing a color change. I'm going to reattach in the same hole with my new color. So if you don't want to change colors, then that's fine. It's all up to whatever you're doing. So reattach with a single crochet. You're going to put a half double crochet in that same space. So I don't have to weave anything in and deal with that nonsense. I'm going to tie these 2 together, my straggler and my new color, ever so gently tight. I'm going to cut them off, leaving a little nubby, and I can be done with it. This is only going on a doll. No one's probably even going to notice it's there, except for all of you that I'm making a doll for, because now I just mentioned it. So with your new color, I want you to do a half double crochet, half single crochet. Oh my good lord, this project's been long. a half double crochet in each stitch around. You should have 18 stitches. And when you get back here, this single crochet we just made, you're going to slip stitch into and chain 2. So baby steps, 1 half double crochet in each stitch around for 18 stitches. So that's my 18 stitches, and I'm going to use this, actually I'm not going to use that single crochet, I'm going to use that first stitch that I did. So we're going to lose a stitch here. A single crochet is just too tight. Chain 2. So for the next 3 rounds, this is what we're going to do. So if you already know how to do them, you can work ahead. 3 rounds is what we're doing. Front post, back post, half double crochet. So yarn over like you're going to do a half double crochet, but you're going to go, instead of into the stitch, you're going to go around this post. This is the front post. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through, and then you're going to finish the half double. Back post, you're going to yarn over, you're going to come in through the back and out, picking up the post at the back of your work. You're going to yarn over, pull through, and finish the stitch. It's a back post. Front post, so you're going to alternate. And back post, you come in through the back and around. So I got the post on my hook. I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through, which is awkward. You have to manipulate a little bit. And I'm going to finish the stitch. So that's what we're going to do for 3 rows. Front post, and now my back post. Front post is easy to figure out. The back post seems to people struggle with. Just remember, back post, you come in through the back. Pull through, finish the stitch. Front post, easy peasy, easy to get to. Back post, not so much. Come in through the back, out through the front. So you're going to do this for 3 rows. So when you get back around, you're going to stack this. You're not going to alternate. So you're going to put a front post on top of a front post and a back post on top of a back post. You're not going to alternate them. And one more at the back. Brings you all the way around. You can slip stitch into this chain, but I just go into the space. I don't use a chain. Chain 2, and we start again. So that's the look you get for 3 rows. So this is how you recognize this gobbledygook. That's your front post, and your back post is right in between the 2 gobbledygooks. So this big ribbed part looking at you, front post, this stuff in between. So you'll have 2 bars, you'll see 2 bars, and that's how you know you've done 1 row. So when you're counting, you just have to count your bars. You'll have 2, so count 2 as 1 row, and that's your back post behind those bars. So that's kind of how you identify them, in case you get lost or forget what you're doing. So gobbledygook, front post, 2 bars, back post. So I'm going to fasten off. I've done mine. Hide your straggler on the other side of this. So I'm going to go into the next stitch and pull through and pull up. And then I'm going to make sure I'm not going to come undone. So I'm going to scooch over here and I'm going to split my stitches because I think it gives a better hold, which means I'm not going under all my stitches, I'm going through the actual stitch because I think it'll grab and less likely to come undone. So that's where I've tied my knot, in case you're wondering what that is. And then I'm just gonna come along here again, just splitting the stitches. I just find it gives a better hold. I'm gonna snip that off. So now I can hide my little dealios here, and then we can do the last bit of the coat, and then we are going to be all done. So get your stuff ready and do your thing, and I will see you on the other side. Alright, I know this looks funny right now and you're going, what the hey, that looks ridiculous. You're right, it does. So until we start building the neck part, it is going to look ridiculous. So let's start building the neck part. So figure out where you're going to reattach. I'm going to reattach over at my straggler. To reattach, using a single crochet, pull down on everything. So you're going to put a half double crochet in each stitch across. Oops. You're going to put I'm going to move stuff. It's going to get stuck on stuff. You're going to put half double crochet. So right where you just put your single crochet, put a half double in that same space. Now the reason I wanted to keep my brown straggler is, again, I just wanted to tie these two together gently tight, if you get what I mean, drift on that one, and then cut it off, leaving some nubbies. No one's going to notice. You could have weaved it in too, but with the beige it would have been noticeable. So 1 half double crochet in each stitch across, chain 1 and turn, and I will meet you on the other side. In case you have questions about the arm, so there's only, and I know this shouldn't confuse people, this is the hole. You can't go into there, there's no stitches, so you're just going to go just along the top. Just like that. Chain 2, and you're going to turn. So we are going to do nothing but increase, 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 increase. So at the beginning of every single row, you're going to do 2. Oh, sorry, don't chain 2 here. Chain 1. I don't want to use this as a stitch. The first stitch of this you're going to put 2 half doubles in that stitch. Then you're going to put 1 in each stitch until you get to the very last stitch, and you're going to put 2 half doubles in that last stitch. And we're going to do that from row to row to row. So I'm going to keep meeting you back here, and I'm going to say, okay, row such and such, row such and such, increase. And that's what it's going to mean. 2 half doubles here, 2 half doubles here, and then 1 half double in every single stitch in between. Just to make the video shorter, I'm just trying to find a way of doing it where it's not going to be so time consuming. So we're actually doing this for 6 rows, if that helps you guys, you know, work ahead if that's what you wanted to do. For anybody that's a beginner, I'm going to be spouting out the rows. So this row is row 33. We're going to put 2 half doubles in the very first stitch. So I want you to only chain 1, and this is for everybody, chain 1 when you get to the end of each row, because I don't want this to be a stitch, because if you chain 2, then it's going to be like putting 3 stitches in the first hole, and I don't want it to be weird looking. So chain 1 and turn, and now you're going to put 2 half doubles in the same space for the very first stitch. So then 1 half double all the way to the other end until you have 1 stitch left, and you're going to put 2 half doubles in there. So pause this, because I'm not going to be with you through the whole coat all the way across to the other side. So pause this and then unpause me when you're ready. So if your counts are on point and you had 59 when we started this, you would have done 2 in this stitch, 57 all the way across till you have 1 stitch left. So if you can't identify it, just turn it sideways, you'll see the stitch. And you're going to put 2 half doubles into that stitch. Chain 1 and turn. So now we're on row 34. You're going to put 2 half doubles in the very first stitch. You're going to half double crochet 59, and then you're going to put 2 half doubles in the last stitch. The last stitch, I'm going to put 2 half double crochets. Chain 1 and turn. Row 35, first stitch, 2 half doubles. And now you're going to do 61 half doubles all the way to the other side. We're going to put 2 half doubles in the last stitch. So we are on row 36. 2 half doubles in the first stitch. You're going to do 63 half double crochets all the way to the end, where you're going to put 2 half doubles in the last stitch. Got 3 more to go. I'm assuming you have caught on to what I'm doing here, so I'm increasing row after row to give this effect. Sorry, it's hard to see. So I'm going to put the last 3 rows on the screen. They'll be around 37, 38, and 39 are going to go up on the screen, just to keep this video a little shorter. And I will see you on the other side. So I am done. Oh, and I'm stuck. Jewelry. Okay, so you should have 8 rows all together. We did 6 of increase rows. So I just have to do my last 2 half doubles in this last stitch, and then you can fasten off. There's nowhere to slip stitch, so just fasten off. Weave your end in, and we are complete. Now he's gonna wear his coat like this, so you're gonna want to weave your end in under here. So there you go. I'm not too happy about this right here, but so like I said, this coat is oversized. Or robe, I'm sorry, it's a robe, not a coat. It is a robe. I've lost a finger. Oh, there we go. So there is double-sided Velcro you can buy at the dollar store. I have some, just not handy to show you, that you can put on the coat to hold the coat shut. But I just lift up one side of the lapel, or whatever you call this cuff neck thing, and I just cross them like that. So while he's on display, because that's all I really do with mine, is I just cross like that. So I just lift up one, stick that under, and drop it down, and that holds him while he stands on display. So, because I don't really, my kids aren't here to play with it, but that is my Yoda. So thanks for joining me, guys, and I hope that you like this pattern. I spent a lot of time trying to perfect the design of this, so I hope that you like it. If you do, please like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.